everybody, and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel. It's Monday, early Monday afternoon, the day after the 3-1 win, fantastic 3-1 win at Spurs at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yesterday. Really scrappy game to start with. The first half an hour I didn't know which way it was going to go, but United seemed to really get a grip of the game with about 15 minutes to go. Perhaps they started to get a grip of the game and got on top. And in the second half, they played some absolutely superb football, United. I was really pleased with the performance in the second half. In the first half, they seemed to start getting a grip of it around the time that they had a goal disallowed. I'm dead against VAR. Some of the decisions I'm seeing on VAR, sometimes they even get the offsides wrong, I think. But the decision against McTominay yesterday, look, his hand did strike the player in the face, but he was trying to shake him off. The lad got a grip of him. He tried to shake him off. His hand actually caught Son's face. The problem I've got with it is I don't think it ever would have been picked up as a foul pre-VAR. But by zooming in on it and checking every little thing, somebody in the studio has got the decision of got the job of making that decision. Is that a foul or is that not a foul? His hand does seem to strike him in the face. I can understand why somebody might have to say, you know, he's going to have the same situation if he doesn't say it is a foul. He's going to have lots of people saying, why isn't that a foul? His fingers have just caught him in the face, or his hands just caught his face. So I don't envy the person who's got the job of deciding if that's a foul or not, let's put it that way. But what does get me down is the point that it wouldn't even be being looked at. Nobody, if there was no VAR, I don't think the TV companies would be even going back on it and saying, should that have been a free kick? Should that goal really stand? It wouldn't even be looked at twice. But because we've got VAR, they're actually looking for ways to disallow goals. Should that be a goal or shouldn't it be a goal? And the VAR man didn't make the decision himself, but advised the referee to look at it again. Once they do that, they often do overturn the decision that they've already made. Now then, it didn't really matter in the end. Obviously, they took the lead, well taken goal by Son. But then United in the second half really took over the game. Anybody who saw the show that I made, I think it was Saturday morning, I predicted the lineup. You don't often get it dead right, but I did get it dead right. I thought Rashford had switched to the right. I thought Pogba would play left. In all the important games or games against big teams, it's always McTominay and Fred. If you think about the last two games before that, he's given them both a rest, McTominay and Fred. Against Brighton, in central midfield, he played Pogba. Let me get this the right way round. I think he played Pogba and Fred against Brighton, and then in Granada, he played Pogba and McTominay. So then against Spurs, they both played McTominay and Fred, which I did, like I said, I expected that to happen. And because of that, that meant he had to try and fit Pogba in elsewhere, which he's done numerous times before. And Pogba played on the left, and I believe we played better football. I said it on the fan cam. Flex was shocked when I said on the fan cam that we need to play Pogba in that position more often. Obviously, he remarks that that Marcus normally plays there, and he's scored about 20 goals this season. Like I always say, it doesn't matter who scores so long as we do score. So is there any denying that we actually played better football yesterday, certainly in the second half, than what we have been playing recently? There's no denying that we played better, surely. Pogba also came on at half-time in that position against AC Milan in the second leg. And we played a lot better in the second half of that game against AC Milan. I believe when you've got a better player playing, and I believe Pogba's a better player, then you've got more chance of playing well. And it's the type of player that he is as well. If you think about Marcus's strengths, running onto long balls, running at players, taking players on, that's not the type of thing that can be, well, you wouldn't want it to be infectious within your team, because if your other players start doing that, you're going to lose the ball far too often. but actually getting the ball down on the floor and passing it is something that's infectious in a football team. And with Paul playing in that fashion on the wing, and the same thing happened against AC Milan, I believe it infects the players around you. One or two people might want to point out, well, we played him in that position against Leicester in the Cup and it didn't go so great. You really have got to give yourself, in these big games, your best chance. Against Leicester, he might have played Pogba in that position, but he dropped Luke Shaw and played Telles at left back. He also left McTominay out. McTominay, more and more and more, is a vitally important cog in this machine, in this team. And he left out Shaw and McTominay against Leicester. It's too late now, we'll never know. But had they both played, maybe that game would have gone completely differently. By putting Pogba in, you know, especially a player who's playing on the wing and he's playing with that full back, it's a bit like giving him a game and playing him. I've said this before, I know it's like giving him a game and tying one hand behind his back. Why not give him a game in that position, but keep Luke Shaw behind him so that he can combine together? You keep hearing on the TV, United's left-hand side is fantastic. Shaw and Rashford is fantastic down the left. All the danger comes down the left. All the pundits say it virtually every time United play. So I believe that's because of how good Luke Shaw is. So then when Pogba gets a game, it's only fair to give him a game and to play next to Luke Shaw. So he shouldn't have left Luke Shaw out against Leicester. Like I say, we will never know now, but we might have won that game and Pogba might have played really well and the team might have played really well had we kept Shaw and McTominay, and it was leading into an international break as well. I don't believe he should have rested those players that day, and I believe there's a great chance we'd still be in the FA Cup. So forget that game, it's an unfair comparison. Pogba played against AC Milan for one half on the left wing. We played really well. We won that game 1-0. We won that half of that game 1-0. And then Pogba's played the full game in that position yesterday against Spurs. The game in its entirety was really scrappy for half an hour, but for an hour we played well with Pogba in that position. I think we're going to start seeing more of Pogba in that position, and that's going to mean Rashford either spending some time on the bench or maybe playing more on the right. And even though I'm not his biggest fan, I do appreciate that he's better coming in from the left than he is from the right. So will that mean that he plays on the right, or will he stick with Greenwood more on the right? Will Dan James come back into the team more on the right? It might be a while before we find out for sure, because we've got Granada on Thursday night. We're already 2-0 up. It's anybody's guess what he'll do on Thursday night. We've got a few suspensions, haven't we? McTominay's suspended, Shaw's suspended, Maguire's suspended. I think you'll probably see Axel getting a game at centre-back. Telles will get a game at left-back. You've got plenty of options still for midfield. Fred and Matic perhaps, or he might go Matic and Pogba and give Fred a breather. But we're 2-0 up. It's only Granada. I say only. It is only Granada. I always say the players can't think like that. We're fans. We can think like that. So it is only Granada. We are already 2-0 up. So it doesn't matter. It does matter, but you won't be able to tell what he's got in his mind for the team, for the future, for big games, by going off what he picks against Granada. And then on Sunday, we've got Burnley in the league. Just as he did against Brighton. Against Brighton, he didn't play both McTominay and Fred. Pogba played more centrally. Even against Burnley, no disrespect to Burnley, but you know, they always give us a run for our money. They beat us at Old Trafford, didn't they, only last season? Often get a draw with us. I think Burnley is a tough enough game that he might go with McTominay and Fred, but it wouldn't shock me if he went McTominay and Pogba or Fred and Pogba. And then obviously there's still room for Marcus on the left and either Mason Greenwood or Dan James on the right. So what I'm leading to, what's more important, is the next time we've got a particularly big game, say the Europa League semi-final against Roma, which we should be in obviously, and it looks like it might well be Roma. They've won their away leg 2-1. And they've got a second leg to come, and we've also got Liverpool coming up in the league still in 2 or 3 weeks' time. So in one of those games, it'll be interesting. Well, perhaps in both of those games, you might well see, I'm sure you'll see McTominay and Fred both against Roma in the semi-final and against Liverpool in the league. You'll see Bruno at 10. You'll see Cavani at 9. That left wide berth, I think in those games, I think you'll see Pogba playing there. I really do. My choice wide on the right. I've had a lot of people saying, sit down, Rick. You know, Mason scored a great goal. He put a great crossover. Why are you talking about Dan James? I still believe that right-hand side of the field, we need a proper right. Look at Cavani's movement in the box yesterday. Great ball in by Greenwood, but I believe a proper winger like Dan James, especially playing, just as I've said about Pogba, when he played against Leicester, he needs to be playing in the strongest team. Dan James needs to be getting a game in the strongest team. You know, with Pogba playing, with Shaw playing, with the whole team strong, he will get put into dangerous positions more often. And he has put some great crosses over. He put a great cross over the other night when he played, from when he only just kept it in by the corner flag and he managed to pull it back. It was a brilliant cross on the run and only just keeping the ball in, and from a really wide position he put a great crossover. But obviously we didn't have Cavani playing in that game, so you need all your players playing. If Cavani would have been playing and maybe he'd have got on the end of that and scored, people would have been raving about that ball from Dan James. But because there's nobody in the middle and it just sails across the face of the 6-yard box, it's immediately forgotten about. So you need a little bit of luck going for you when you're playing when you're playing football. You know, Mason put a great ball over yesterday that was just instinctive. It was. I'm sure Mason didn't think, oh, Cavani's playing today, I'll just whip this ball across. I'm sure he didn't think that. So he just whipped it over. It was instinctive. He might well have done the same thing if Marcus was playing at centre forward, or Anthony Marshall even. And one of those two players might not have made that run in and got that diving header and scored it, but it's still the same ball. And the ball, you know, if somebody else was playing at centre forward, that ball might have just bounced harmlessly. It was bending towards the goal, or towards the dead ball, and it might have just bounced out harmlessly if somebody else was playing at centre forward. So you need that little bit of luck. But you do need to be playing with the best players, and I'd love to see. And I think you might see it against Liverpool. When we play Liverpool, there's going to be a lot of work on the training field about stopping their fullbacks. When we played them at Anfield, we played with Pogba on the right and Martial on the left. And Martial, his job was to stop. It wasn't about attacking that day. His job was about stopping Trent Alexander. Pogba on the right, his job was stopping Robertson. Now, when we played him at Old Trafford this time round, Martial's not going to be fit, I don't think. They reckon he's out for the season, don't they? So if Martial's missing, I think you'll see Pogba on the left, and it wouldn't surprise me one little bit if you see Dan James on the right, because his job won't just be to attack and try and get balls across, but his job will be to track Robertson. And I think Dan James is probably the man for the job. So it'll be interesting to see how Ole thinks about that game when that game comes around. You can't tell for sure what he's thinking is going to be just from the game against Granada and the game against Burnley. Against Burnley, it won't surprise me one little bit if he thinks we can get lots of chances, we can make chances for each other. It won't surprise me one little bit against Burnley if Pogba's in central midfield, and you might find it's Cavani up top with Greenwood and Rashford on the flanks. Won't surprise me one bit. So that remains to be seen. It will all unfold over the next few weeks. A lot of people, as I've said, commenting on Twitter about sit down Rick, Mason scored a great goal. I've also said plenty of times that Mason needs to be coming in off the bench. That's what he needs to be doing. And he came in off the bench and look what happened. And the other thing as well that a lot of people are on about, a lot of people have said to me today that I've said that I didn't think it would work with Bruno and Pogba in the same team. This was a long time ago. But when I did say that, I did say it, I admit, and was I mistaken? Yes, I was mistaken, 100% I was mistaken. But I was mistaken in the fact, in that I didn't think at the time of playing Pogba on the left wing. So, and I didn't really think at the time about Bruno playing more as a really attacking player. Number 10, he's almost playing as a support striker at times. When the question was put to me about Pogba and Bruno playing in the same team together, we were talking about playing them as two central midfield players together, where McTominay and Fred play. And it's still McTominay and Fred in the big games. It's not Pogba, and it isn't even Bruno in that position. They're the holding players, as people call them, or the proper midfield players, as I prefer to call them, the central pair. So maybe I should have thought about it, but I didn't think about it. And I will still say that that as a central pair of midfield players, we still need to keep McTominay and Fred there. Or McTominay and Matic, I don't mind that. And I'm sure that's how Ole sees it as well. McTominay and Fred are his favourite pairing. So despite the fact that they're both in the same team, and it did go well certainly yesterday it went very well, they're not actually playing in the positions that we were talking about when we were first talking about that situation. So as I say, it's only Monday afternoon. I'm going to be re-watching the game at some stage today, and I'll be doing a player rating show. The player rating show will go up on Tuesday sometime, and I'm looking forward to the game on Thursday. Player ratings tomorrow. If you've enjoyed that show, please tell all your friends. Please subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell anybody. Keep stum.